Hey guys, hi everyone, good morning. Good morning everyone. Hi Govind, Walaikum Salam Doha. Good morning Pramod, good morning Tanya, good morning Nandi, good morning Himanshi. Good morning everyone, good morning Said, good morning guys, good morning. Good morning Siva, good morning. Good morning Ankit, good morning. I hope all of you are doing very well. So we will wait 1 or 2 minutes for other people to join. In the meantime, let me set up the environment and then we can start with the session. So we left our yesterday's project in between. So we will quickly try to wrap that and then we are going to start a new project. And today's class, if I have to rank in the whole MERN, today's class is the top important class, okay, at the top. So please make sure that you stay here. Do not leave the class. Stay here up till end because it's going to be a very interesting session. You will learn a lot of things related to back-end development. You will actually make things that are going to properly work on a website, whether it's authentication, authorization. So please make sure you stay here up till end. Okay. Now I can see people are joining. People are joining. Good morning, Ankit. Good morning, Adil. Good morning, Chandrika. Good morning, Krish. Good morning. Good morning, guys. So I think we can start with the session because yesterday, if you remember, guys, we started our discussion and we tried to understand a basic to-do application, right? Good morning, Roshan. Good morning. And in that to-do application, we already wrote our backend logic, we wrote our front-end logic, and we connected our backend with the front end as well. And we were able to make proper requests of get and post from front end to backend. Good morning, Tunde. Good morning, Anil. Good morning, Harsh. Good morning, guys. So, quickly tell me in the chat if you remember yesterday's class. Whenever we have to integrate our front end with back end, how do we do that? In the meantime, let me set up the environment. Quickly tell me in the chat. Quickly, guys. Whenever we have to integrate our front end with the back end, meaning server, we should be able to send our requests from front end to back end. How do we do that? Very good. We use API integration. Instead of saying fetch, Karthik, let's say API integration because it can be done using fetch as well as using XCRs. Okay. So instead of saying fetch, let's say API integration. So let's quickly try to wrap up things for this project so that we can start our main agenda of today's class. Okay. See, yesterday, if you guys remember, we created a router. On that router, we created a get request, then we created a post request. And for both these two, we already wrote our front end logic. Now we did not implement our logic for update, we did not implement our logic for delete, but let's try to do that quickly and then we will start our main topic. So let me quickly try to run our backend. So npm run dev like this. So what it will do is it will simply try to execute our backend, although there's an error. What is the error? The error is nodemon is not recognized. Why is that? Is my nodemon not implemented? Yes, nodemon is implemented. Nodemon is not recognized in my package.json. Is Nodemon installed? No, Nodemon is not installed. Why is that? I think we did install it yesterday, right? So unfortunately, it's not working, but I think I did install it yesterday. So npm I Nodemon. Let me quickly try to install this API integration. Very good. So let's wait quickly for a second and then we can move forward, right? So now it should properly work. npm run dev. Perfect. So let's wait for this connection and then we'll start our class. Allow me a second only. In the meantime, let me set up the front end as well. And in front end, we need to execute a command to execute our React project. We need to write npm run dev, right? So let me simply go, npm start. So let me simply trigger my npm start as well. Perfectly fine. Now listen to me. So it was just to set up the environment. Now listen to me. What is our today's class's agenda? Today we are going to learn 3 to 4 important concepts. Number one is authentication. Number two is authorization. Number three is JWT tokens. Number four is hashing using Bicrypt. So these are 4 important things that we are going to cover in today's class. So do not think of leaving class in between. Just stay here. This project that we are right now doing, we did it in our yesterday class, and there are only few things that we are actually supposed to do. Okay. So let me quickly try to do that. So this is our front end application, right? And it says fail to fetch. Why does it say, by the way, fail to fetch, guys? Can anyone tell me why does it say fail to fetch? Why does it say fail to fetch? Because right now, if you look at your database is crashing. Database is not working. If you look at this, I'm not able to connect it to the database. Yesterday it was working, but this time it's not working. And since it's not working with the database, That automatically means when it is going to perform a fetching over there in the app.js, it won't actually make sense. It won't work. Why? Because this API database is not working. And since this database is not working, it's not going to fetch my tasks. So that is the issue over here. So let me try to re-trigger my database over here, although it should work, because we know that this database is properly working, everything is making properly sense. So let me simply get this here. And in this case, I'm simply going to go in the mongodb.com. Although we don't need to go to the mongodb.com to make it work, because it should make sense on its own. If it does not work, in that case, we will use local host, okay? Because we saw our yesterday's session how to connect it to the MongoDB cloud. So that's already done. So we don't have to waste our time anymore for this, okay? So allow me a second and let's see whether it will work or not. Perfect. There's some issue over there with that cluster. Okay. So unfortunately, we are not able to connect to this database. So what we will do is we will simply try to connect it to the local database for now to make it work. So let me simply go to the MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB Compass, and let's get the connection string. It needs to open. I'm not able to open it. Why is that? Okay, working. So let me try to sign in the meantime. So let me get the connection string from here, copy connection string, and let me connect to it. And in this case, let me try to go to the database and let me try to change it. So I will, as of now, use my local MongoDB to create a connection. And then when we try to create a connection, it should properly work here. It should be able to connect to the local database. I don't think there should be any issue. Then you can see it is saying connected to database, right? Perfectly fine. But now if I go to my database, or I mean to the front end, and if I try to understand my front end here, it is still saying failed to fetch. Although now it's working, right? Now what I can do is I can simply go write a title first to do over here, write some description, starts today, like this, write the date over here, something like this, and then priority is very much medium, and submit it. Now once I submit it, we can clearly see we got our to do. Everything is properly working. Database connection is there, everything is properly working. Now let's talk about rest of the logic. Now guys, if you guys remember, let me close this, let me close this, let me close this as well, because there are a lot of MongoDB compasses that we created. And if I try to connect to the database, we can clearly see inside this database we have our to-do database as well, in which there's a tasks, and we can clearly see our data visible in front of us as well. Now what do we want to do? We are able to post our data, we are able to fetch our data. Now according to our backend logic, if you remember, there are multiple logics. We have our get data, we have our post data. But what do we need to do now? We need to update our data. And if you remember yesterday's logic, we can update our data based on the ID that I will pass over here. So what I will do is I will simply go and create some buttons for updation and deletion. So let me simply go inside our front end, and in the task listed.js, over here below this p tag, I will simply create a button. Okay. So let me quickly go create a button, and this button will simply say update. Right now, if you look at this particular task which we have, I am displaying title, I am displaying description, I am displaying due date. But on the same time, if you look at this update, what am I going to update according to what we discussed in our yesterday's class? We can update completed, whether it's right now completed or not. As of now, if we try to go, let me create a p tag, and in this particular case, I want to see whether it's completed or not. Is it true or false? So for that, what I will do is I will simply tell it, please display task.completed. If task.completed over there is true, in that particular case, simply tell true. If not, in that particular case, simply tell me false, like this. And if I right now go to my output and try to check its output, we can clearly see for this sleep to do task, the completed is false. But what would I want? I would simply want it to display it true now, because now it's completed. So make it true. That's the only thing that I would change, because I won't change my title, I won't change my description, I won't change my due date, right? I will simply see whether the completed part is done or not. So for that, I have already told it over it according to the backend logic, depending on its ID, so that I can uniquely identify it. Then from my request.body, receive what you want to update, and then simply update it. using find by ID and update. That's what we need to do. We need to make a put request from our front end to this server. So that's what we will do over here. So in this case, I'm simply going to go here and I'm simply going to tell it on this p tag. Instead of making it a p tag, I will simply make it a button like this. In this case, button will either say true or false. And on this button, I will simply have an on click event. And on this on click event, I will simply say handle my toggle. Let's define this handle my toggle. And we have seen in our previous class, in our previous session, we have seen whenever we want to make a request, what do we need to do? So we need to simply go there and define a function. So function handle to do over here like this. In this particular function, I would simply want you to implement async await. Why async await, guys? Why do we need async await? Can anyone tell me in the chat? Because I know whenever we will make a request to the server, it will return a promise. So we have to use fetch over there. So I will simply say constant my response over there. In this response, please try to resolve. So await over there, use a fetch method. In this fetch method, according to the database, we know that we are going to make a method over there, and that method is put, not patch. I'm using a put method. But what is the one over here? Is ID one or is ID task.id? Quickly tell me in the chat. The ID with which I will be uniquely identifying it, I don't think that's my, a number. That is my any string over there. I know one thing for sure. I have to make it an ID. So let me simply go here and wrap it inside template literals. Okay. And then instead of one, I will simply tell it, pass it that tasks dot ID. So can we all say that I have actually made a request on that particular element whose ID I am passing and fetching? Whose ID I'm clicking? Tell me a quick yes or no in the chat. Quickly. Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Although we need to understand there's one small issue over here. We cannot do this. We cannot write tasks.id. Tell me why. Tell me why. Why cannot we write tasks.id over here? Can anyone tell me why? Because I did a mistake or a deliberate mistake. You identify and tell me why I cannot do this. Why I can't write tasks.id over here. Anyone? Because when we talk about this tasks, it's a prop. And if you look at this prop, it is an array of objects. And do you think array of object has ID or individual item has ID? This is my whole tasks. These are 5, 10 tasks, all those tasks. And all the tasks do not have ID. Individual tasks have ID. So I know when I will implement map on this array, this task has an ID. So not this tasks. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat. So that's why what I will do is instead of handling toggle directly like this, I will simply tell it do one thing. Let me simply go and pass an argument to it. So I will simply tell it call my handle toggle and pass an ID to it. And that ID will be what? That ID will be my task dot hyphen ID like this. And now I can simply pass the same argument over here. And now instead of tasks dot ID, I will simply pass ID like this. I hope this makes sense. So we can simply go and pass when I will click on that particular tasks button. At that point of time, whatever that element's ID is, pass it over here and make a fetch request. Now it will properly find that element over here, however it's supposed to. And then what are the other keys? Other keys is headers, content type, application slash JSON, which we saw. And third one is body. And in that body, we are simply going to transfer our requested.body, in which we have discussed in our yesterday class, JSON.stringify. In this particular case, I will tell it, please make my completed true. But what if I want to make after that it false? If it is true, I want to make it false. Or I want to toggle. I don't want to make it true. If it is false, make it true. If it's true, make it false. That's what I want to do. So I'm simply going to go here and I'm going to tell it, do not do this. Do not make my completed true. First of all, at that point of time, whatever my task is, simply put that here. Okay, very good. But we will do that later on. But I would want you to update my completed over there at that point of time. Whatever the task dot completed is, simply put a not in front of it. But the problem with this logic is I don't have inside this function task. I don't have task. That's why over here I will pass another argument over there, which is my task. So I will receive task as an argument over here because I have to share task over here. So I will simply tell it at this point of time, whatever my task is, put all of that task and then only update my completed with whatever at that point of time task is with its boolean negative, which means if it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it true. Is this logic clear, guys? Why I am passing task and ID over here? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Because this function does not have task access. So we have to pass the task from the event handler. So I passed both. I passed task and task ID. Now we can also, you don't need to pass task.id. You can directly access that from here as well. So anything can work. I hope this makes sense. Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Quickly. And finally, I will get my response. Final response over there is equals to await my res.json. And then let's suppose I simply want to give an alert, and in that alert over there, I would simply want to give me my response. Give me the response dot message. Done. I hope this makes sense. Like now, whatever the according to backend, I am simply saying that if task is updated at that point of time, simply tell me, okay, give me the updated task. So I'm not writing message. So I will go here and I will simply tell it, give me the response alert, or instead of alert, I cannot do alert. I can simply say console.log. Console.log, my response that I have to check and give me confirmation whether I am able to update it or not. Finally done. Very good. Now, what I will do is I will simply go here in the output in my website and I will simply try to see whether it's now working or not. You can see it says completed false by default. Now, when I click on this, let's see whether it worked or not. So let me go to inspect and let me go to console. In the console over there, it returns me an object where it has updated my completed to true. Now, quickly tell me why am I still seeing false over there? It has updated. Updation is done. Completed became true. But over here, I can see completed still false. Tell me why. Quickly tell me in the chat. Why is it still not working? I mean, displaying. It did update. It did made request to the server. But unfortunately, I'm not seeing the real change. Tell me why. Because when it is trying to do that change, I am not telling it to show me the updated data. I'm simply telling it to push the changes, but I'm not telling it to show the data, fetch the data. And you can clearly see we are already fetching our data over here. So what I will do is to this task list over there, I will pass another prop. I will simply go tell it, hey, pass another prop, which will be fetch lists, fetch tasks. Then inside the task over there, I will simply tell it, destructure this as well. So fetch my tasks. And then over here, once you console it, please call my fetch tasks again. So now it will make again a get request to the database and we will get the real data. So now if I go to my output and if I refresh my page, you can see over here now it says completed true. But if I click on it, it makes it false. If I click on it, it makes true, false, true, false. Now, because when it is updating it, I am actually telling it to please go there and tell it to do what? Tell it to do what? To fetch the tasks, to make a get request now, and it will display the change in real time over there. I hope this makes complete sense. Am I clear, guys? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Quick confirmation, right? And finally, one last task that we have is delete. And on this, I will simply have an on click event. And on this on click event, I will simply tell it to call a function where we will simply call a function with the name of handle delete, in which I will simply pass task over here as an argument. Done, because we need to transfer task. And let me simply copy the same function over here and paste it like this. And in this case, the function name will be what? Function name will be handle delete. And I will simply have my task as an argument here. And in this case, I will simply write task dot hyphen id. So in this case, please make a delete method on my API on 8,000 tasks, and please make a delete on that ID which I am passing. And once you do that, I don't have to, transfer any body in this case. Do I need to transfer any body in this case? No. So I don't have to tell even header as well. What is the header I am pasting? I don't have to do anything. It's simply I have to tell it method is delete. That's it. And finally, give me the response and console that response, fetch the tasks. Now, if I go to my output and refresh my page, if I simply now click on delete, you can see it's deleted. So I can simply add my title. Let's suppose title is running. I simply have description from tomorrow like this, okay, or whatever the spelling is. I will simply go here. Date is something like this. I will simply go say medium and submit. This is number one task. Number two task is something like this, okay, and it's going to be having high submit. And we can clearly see now there are two to-do tasks. I can simply make completed over here. It's completed, true. Then I can simply say delete, delete it, delete, delete it. So this is your whole to-do application with front end as well as back end. Am I clear? Does it make any sense? Good. Give me a quick yes or no with the entire project. Then we will start our today's important class. Quickly, quickly. Shall I move forward and shall I start a new project? Shall I start our first very important topic of MERN called as authentication and authorization? Tell me quickly in the chat. Okay, wonderful. I can see few typing yes, but I want all of you to type yes. Okay. Now what I will do is I know we have completed this to do application. Now it's very important to understand to go to a little bit advanced topic. So please pay close attention. Do not miss anything because now whatever we will discuss, these are asked too much in interviews. Okay, too much in interviews. So please pay attention. I am going to create a simple project, new project, in which we are going to create a interview portal. There will be some opportunities in front of you, some opportunities like internship opportunities. So you want to create a platform. In that particular platform, what's going to happen? Let me try to open my whiteboard and let me try to explain what is the project we are going to build. So let me try to open this. Okay. In this particular project, the project name is internship project portal, internship portal. In this small project, what we will do is we will simply create a website. Okay, whatever the website is. In this website, there will be n number of opportunities by default. Like whenever you will go to the website, there will be by default n number of opportunities, like internship in Google, internship in Amazon, data science internship, and so on and so forth. And every internship will have few of the options, like apply. I can apply, but these internships will be displayed to every single user. Whoever comes to this website first time, they will still be able to see the opportunities. But as soon as you click on apply, it will check whether you are logged in or not. If you are not logged in, it will send you to login page. But if you are logged in, you can apply to this particular project and you can go to your dashboard while you can simply see as a user how many opportunities have I applied to. But if you're not a user in that particular case, it will ask you to create an account, sign in. And once you sign in, you can apply actually. And then for me, the applied opportunities that I have applied, that will be displayed to me, my dashboard. And similarly, for every different user, they will be able to see their own dashboard. This is the project that we are going to create. A simple project, but a very interesting project because we are going to create dashboard first time. We have to make sure that our user is authenticated, authorized. So these are few very important things that we need to actually create. Okay. So allow me a second. I will be back because I have lost my pen. Give me 1 minute only. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay. So I hope the project is completely understood. Now what we will do is we need to create a simple project here. And in this project, there will be, as I said, different opportunities. But remember, these opportunities will be displayed to each and every single user. So whether you are logged in or not, whoever is coming to this website first time, they should be able to see all of these internships. Okay. Now, but on these internships, there will be a button and that will simply say apply. Okay. There will be a button that will simply say apply. There will be a button that will simply say apply. Now, as a user, when I will click on apply, my website should be able to determine whether I, as a user, am already logged in or not. If I'm not logged in that particular case, it will simply send me to login page or sign up page, and then I will log in. Once I will log in, I will simply go and simply click on this, and it will simply say instead of apply, now it will simply say applied because I, as a user, have applied on this. Then over here on the same website, there will be a small portion which will simply say dashboard. And on this dashboard, once you click on this, what will happen? You will be able to see all of your applied opportunities. If you go to home page again, it should show you all the opportunities that are applied. You should not be able to apply on them again. So this is the dashboard that we are going to create. Does it make sense? Do you understand what is the project we are trying to create? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat. Quick yes or no in the chat. Quickly. Done? Perfect. Now, you guys help me a little bit. Whenever we have to create a new project, what do? We go to our folder structure, and in this folder structure, we create a new folder. So let me simply go create a new folder and name this internship portal. This is the project name, internship project portal. In this, what is the first step that I will do? I will create two folders. Number one is my client, number two is my server. So number two is my server, like this. Now, first thing that we will do is we will create our logic for our server, because we as a developer already know we have to authenticate, authorize the user. Then once we authenticate, authorize the user, then we will talk about our client, and then we will see what other logics we have to implement inside our server. But first we will start with server. Now, what is the first step that we will do here? The first step that we will do over here is we will we will create our npm init, we will create our package.json. Done. Once it's done, in the meantime, we will create our server file. So index.js. Index.js. I know I have to use Express. I know I have to use Mongoose. I know I have to use Cars. I know all of those frameworks, right? Modules, I mean. Now, quickly tell me what are the modules which I will install. Number one is npm I Express. Done. Number two is Mongoose. Done. Number three is Nodemon. Done. Number four is Cars. Tell me, why do we need to install Cars? Do we have an idea like why do we need to use Cars? So Express, Mongoose, Nodemon, Cars. These are the 4 or 5 modules that I know from the very beginning I will be using them. Yes, in this specific project, we will use at least more 4 to 5, which we will see at that point of time. But we know these we will definitely use. Express for creating our server application, Mongoose for our database, Nodemon for our triggering servers continuously, Cars for our front end. From our front end, we should be able to send our request to the back end, right? For different domain, for different cross origins. Now let's quickly go here. And in this particular case, I will simply go create my Express application. So constant Express is equals to require my Express, like this. Then constant app is equals to require my, not require by, but I will simply call my Express, like this. And finally, after this, I will simply tell this app to listen on a port, let's say 4000, comma, and if it is successful in that particular case, I would simply want to implement console.log. Console.log. Why is it not giving me suggestions? So console.log, it should simply say listening to port 4000. Done. What next? Tell me what is the next step, guys. After this, what is the next step? Quickly tell me in the chat. What is the next step? We will use Mongoose. So let me simply go implement constant. I will simply say Mongoose over here is equals to require. Require what? Require my Mongoose. Done. After that, what next? Now we need to go there and we need to tell it using my Mongoose, please connect. So let's create our database connection. In this case, I will use my local host, right? So I will simply go copy the connection string and then implement it. So let me simply go paste my connection string like this and create the project as the name, give it internship portal, the database name. And once it's done, in that particular case, please go there and execute something. What's it going to execute? It's simply going to give me a console and that will simply say connected to database. So these things are already done. Now over here comes a very important thing. Now, will I write every bit of a logic in a single place, at a single place? The answer is, of course, not. We are not going to do that. We need to make sure that we are going to create different folders. I will tell you one thing now. Let's do that. Roshan. Guys, remember one thing. Right now, I am using my MongoDB string over here, right? But it's a confidential file. Like when I will later on create this project, I will connect it to the cloud. And in cloud string over there, you remember there's username and password. There's some confidential information. So we should not keep it like this. Definitely not. We should not do it. We should not put our connection strings like this. Definitely not. So what we actually do is we need to use our env variables. So what we will do is we will later on actually all the confidential information we will separate it and then we will use it. So that's what we will do, Roshan. Very good advice. We should not keep our confidential information open in our main files. Definitely not. But we will do that later on. As of now, let's understand one thing. Now we know what our application is. Now I, as a developer, will not create everything in my index.js, but I will create different folders. What is the first folder that I will create? First folder is that I will have models. Second folder that I will have over here is middlewares, right? Like this. Third folder that I will have over here is controllers. So these folders, right? So we will actually create controllers, middlewares, models. And another folder that I am missing over here is called a routes. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? So what I have done is I have created this time 4 folders, one extra folder, 2 extra folders actually, which we have not done earlier. We have controllers, we have middlewares, we have models, and then we have routes. So let's understand these, what these are one by one. Okay. We know what routes mean. Of course, we know that. What does routes mean? That routes mean different groups of routes in my application. Whatever logic they have, I will simply keep them there, right? So what I will do is I will go here and first of all, I will simply create my first route as user.js because I will first of all perform my authentication authorization. Then I will think about rest of the things. And related to this user, I know there will be a model. So I will simply go in the models and I will simply go create user.js here as well. Done. So two user.js, one for routes, another for models. In this, to define our model, I need to define a schema. So in order to define a schema, I will simply go use mongoose is equals to require my mongoose like this. Done. After that, I will define its schema. So constant user schema over here like this is equals to new mongoose dot schema like this, like this, like this, in which I will simply use 3 things: username, email, and password. So let's do that. So we can clearly see I am using AI over here, GitHub Copilot, to give me all these suggestions. Okay, so I'm using GitHub Copilot here. You should definitely try that out. So number one key that I will have is username. The type is string, required is true. Email type is string, required is true. And we also know one other very important parameter, that emails should be unique. So I will simply have unique is equals to true. Done. Password type string and required true. Password should not be unique. And then finally over there, I will simply tell you do one thing. Create a new model over there and let's name that user model, a collection, and finally export that. So finally go there and export the model. So module.exports user model. So I have simply created a schema right now. That schema contains 3 key value pairs: username, email, password. And then I'm simply telling it create a collection, name that users, and then it will use a schema, user schema, and then finally export it. It's done. Now there will be multiple models. Will there be only one model in this entire project? The answer is no. Why? Because if you remember the application which we are creating, we have to see applied opportunities as well. So those applied opportunities for that user has to be there as well. So there's 2 models involved. Am I clear? So I'm not going to create another model right now because we have not seen it, but I am pretty much sure there'll be one other file with the name of apply.js. Yes or no? There will be multiple models because it's a small, little bit big project. So I will have multiple models, right? And in similarly case routes, I will have multiple routes, right? So for my user.js, the first thing that I will do is I will first of all create a router of my express. मामू को क्लास में बाद में आना, ठीक है ना? Bye. Okay. So over here, what I will do is I will simply go. I have to define a router. So I will simply say constant express is equals to require my express, like this. Why do I need to require my express here as well? Because it's very obvious I have to define a router for my user. So let me simply say constant my user router is equals to, I will simply say require what? Require my, not require actually, but express dot router. Done. And finally, what I will do, I will simply export this. So please module dot exports over there. Please export. What am I going to export? My user router. Done this as well. And finally, this user router will be imported over here. So let me simply go inside this and I will import it. Constant user router over here like this. Please import it, require it from dot slash routes over there slash, and then I will simply have user.js. So user router is already imported. What is the next step over there? We have to tell our main app that this router will be listening on which route. So I will simply go tell it app.use. In this app.use, please use this user and auth on auth slash auth, and then simply tell it to use user router. Am I clear? Which means whatever routes I will write over here, all of those routes will be actually listening to slash auth. I hope this makes sense. Now inside this, I will write my logic one by one now. Now I have not implemented anything in controllers. I have not implemented anything middlewares. I will. Just have some patience. You will understand what controllers are, what middlewares are. But whatever we have done until now, I think everything should make sense because this is what we already have discussed in the previous sessions. Now over here, I will simply go and create my first logic, create my first method in order to sign up. I want to register. But please pay attention because this time I'm going to do a little bit different. There will be something different. So on dot user, please implement a post method. And in this post method, the request should be on sign up. And once you do that, I know I will use async in this. So request comma response like this. And then over here like this, like this, like this. What is the first thing that I will do, guys? In my post, what is the first thing that I will do? Because I know I will have a proper front end page, a sign up page, in which there will be username, email, password. When I click on sign up, it will make a request to the server on this particular route, which is slash auth slash sign up on my 4000 port. So I will first of all extract my data from request.body, not parameters. Why would we use parameters? Because I'm not defining anything, any dynamic parameter, Shreyash. I will first of all receive data from my request.body. Yes or no? So that's what I will do. So I will simply go and transfer destructure three things. So constant my, I will simply tell it destructure username, destructure email, comma destructure password is equals to, I will destructure it from request.body. The first thing. Now, what will be the next step, guys? What will be the next step? Can anyone tell me what will be the next step? Look at this model that I'm using and tell me exactly what should be the next step here. What's the next step? Next step is the email that user is typing in the input field. Is there already an account with this email? Because email is unique over here. Maybe this user have forgot that I have already signed up. Another account should not be created with this email field, right? You can implement validation, but you can do that in front end as well. You can do that in back end as well. But I'm talking about one other thing, that if this email has already signed up in this database, why would I sign up again? So the first thing is I will first of all do a search with this email. Is my email, is there any account of this email inside this particular model which I have here? So for that, I need to import my model. So constant my user, what is it? It is user model. So constant user model is equals to please require it from where dot slash in the models photo slash my user.js. Done. No, I don't need to log in. No. I don't need to log in. I need to simply find. See, when I will make a request on sign up, I know for this request, I will have a front end like this. I will have username, I will have email, I will have password. And over here, there will be a button that is sign up. Now, I will type my username here. I will type my email here. I will type my password. But is it possible, guys, that the email that I am typing over here, this email account already exists inside the database? Is it possible? Of course. Maybe you might have signed up already and you've forgotten it right now. So what we will do is when it will, you will click on this, the request that you will make to server, tell that request to first check, is there already any account with this email? And if it is, then give me an error. Tell me email already exists. Hey, please sign up. Give me that alert. Give me that message. So that's what we will do over here. For that, I will simply tell it, hey, do one thing, create a variable. So constant, create a variable user and simply tell it, please find that in the user model. So in user model, please do a find one. Which one? With the email that I have passed from the front end. So this email that I passed over there from the front end, find one. Now there, there can be two possibilities only. Either this user will be there or not. So if user, in that particular case, tell me message user already exists. In this case, if user is there, if user is true, which means it's already in the database. If it is already in the database, simply give me a response, user already exists. But if it is not, then what next? Then the next part is create a new user inside the same model with the same username which I am receiving from the front end, with the same email which I am receiving from the front end, with the same password that I am receiving from the front end. Am I clear? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat. Give me a quick yes or no in the chat. And then finally, once you do that, please save it. So await new user dot save. And then finally, at the end, return a response. Simply say user created successfully. This is simple logic. I don't think there should be any issues with this particular logic, right? So I'm simply telling it from my front end, from those three input fields, receive username, email, password. With that email, first of all, in my database, in my collection, find. And if this user exists, tell me user already exists. If it does not, then create a new user and then save that inside my user model. And finally, give me user created this. But there's one simple thing. We will send it as, if you remember Govind, remember when I started today's class, I performed two requests from the front end in the previous example, put and patch, sorry, put and delete. But in put, I told it the content type is application slash JSON. So I am telling it whenever I will make a request from the body, I will send JSON data. So I am telling it that is the content type as a header, as an instruction. So it's JSON. But that's why we need to implement a middleware here in the server to extract it properly as a JavaScript object. We need to use app.use express.json, which we will do. Both fast, or let me slow a little bit. Okay, don't worry about it. I know I'm being a little bit fast. What are we trying to do? Let's go back and let's understand one very important concept. Okay, now this is today's first topic. Anil, I'm so sorry, but let's slow a little bit things down. Okay, this is my front end. This is my front end website. Over here, there's a form. In this form, I have three input fields because that's what my schema is. Over here, I am supposed to type username. Over here, I am supposed to type email. Over here, I'm supposed to type password, right? And then over here, I'm simply supposed to create sign up. Let's suppose for our discussion, we are signing up first time this particular user. So when I click on sign up, it will make a request dot post onto the database, I mean onto the server, and this account will be created. Right? Simple. Account is created. But you tell me quickly in the chat, everyone, in which database it will be created. It will be created inside the database, which is listing on port 27017, and database name is internship portal. But in this internship portal, what is the model name? What is the collection name? What is the table name in which my data sign up will be stored? And for that, we can clearly see user model. So this is the collection user model which I am creating, which depends on this schema. On this model, my data will be stored every single time. So that's what I am doing over here. Now leave this aside. I'm going to leave this particular code aside for a second. Okay. I am simply telling it from my front end, destructure username, destructure email, destructure password. So simply get those three things. And inside the same user model, which is the collection in the database, simply create a new instance of it, of an object. Always remember that this is exactly, see, I am talking about creating an object in the database, but there is username. Shouldn't it be in key value pairs? It should be something like this. Hey, create a username in front of this, put username. Write this. Then email in front of this, put email, because that's how objects are stored. In password, please store password like this. But always remember, in JavaScript, if the key name and the value name is same, you don't have to put colon in between. You can simply write username like this. You can simply write username, email, password. Okay, it means I am trying to tell it create an object in user model with username, email, password. So if you key and value same, in that case you can simply add only one. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And finally save it. And in the response, if save is properly happening, then simply say user created successfully. I think this should be very clear now, Anil, right? But one very important thing. Now, since I was signing up first time, it should be able to create my data in the user model, and we should simply get user created successfully. But after 2000 years, I decided that what I will do is I will sign up again. After very long amount of time, I will sign up again. But I unfortunately used the same email. So earlier I had already registered adfar@gmail.com, and now I am using the same email again. Tell me what should happen. Should it allow me to sign up again? Should it allow me to sign up? Because I have already used this email, it's already in the database. So should another document be created inside the database? The answer is no. It should simply tell me this email already exists. Try forgetting the password, something like that. It should not allow me to sign up again. So that's why what I will do is I will simply tell it, first of all, before you save it, do one thing inside the same user model, because this is the model in which all the users are. Please do one thing, go there and perform a find one method with the email which I am passing from the front end. So the email that I am passing over here, with that find the document inside the same collection. If the user is true, it means if the account exists, in that case simply user already exists. And return, always remember, when we implement return, it means this will be executed, and below whatever the code is, it won't be executed now. Return means return from here, don't execute what's below after that. So it will simply say if user is there, then in that particular case it will give me this response, it won't execute this code. But if it is not true, then only it will execute this particular code. So we have simply put a check over there, a check which will simply check whether this email account already exists or not. I hope now it makes sense. Give me everyone a quick confirmation in the chat, and then I will move forward. Quickly, every single student must reply. All the 30 students, please make sure you like this video right now, okay? And subscribe if you have not already. Very good. I can see 4-5 yeses only. Where are the rest of the yeses? But 400 will be a bad request. That's what we are trying to do now. Sign up. See, when we say sign up, if sign up will not happen, email already exists, it means it's a bad request. So 400 is the correct HTTP status code. Now let's see whether it will work or not. So what I will do is I will go here and I will simply try to trigger my server. So for that, I will go here and I will use nodemon dev dependency. So let me use dev. And in this case, I will simply tell it to use my nodemon index.js. And let's try to make it work. So npm run dev. So if I try to execute this, it says listening to port 4000 connected to MongoDB as well. Now you tell me quickly in the chat, everyone, in order to make this request, do I need to simply go to my client over there and tell it, hey, please do one thing, make a request on 4000 on my sign up like this? Will it work? I will make a post request on it. Will it work? Because that's what the route is, on slash sign up. Is this a correct path that I'm passing over there? Tell me quickly in the chat. Is this correct? The answer is no, it's not. Why? Because this is the user router. This is the user router, and user router itself is listening to /r. So in between, we need to put /r. I hope that makes sense. So we need to put in between /r. And let me transfer my requested.body. So I will simply go transfer my username is equals, let's say, Adfar Rashid. Then comma, I will simply go past my email, and in this email I will simply pass, let's say, adfar@gmail.com. And then finally I will go here and pass my password. So let's simply say password, and this password is going to be equals to, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. And I will simply go and try to make a request on this. So let's send it. So if I send it, it says connection was forcibly closed by a pair. Let's see what the issue is. So let me go to my server back and let's try to understand what the issue is. So it says app crash, cannot destructure property. Now this is something that I want you to tell me. It says, okay, you are trying to destructure username, email, password from the request.body, but I am not able to find that. Tell me, what are we missing? What are we missing? No, no, dev means something. So when we write npm run dev, it means it's going to find the dev script in the package.json. So it can be only dev. Tell me quickly, what are we missing here? Quickly. It's not able to find username. It means request is properly working. But unfortunately, when I am writing this logic over there, it's not able to find from request to body, it's not able to find username, email, and password. Because there's one thing that I'm missing. Tell me quickly, what am I missing? I am no user model is connected here. Is it not, Ankit? User model is connected over here, so it's properly working. We are missing a parser, body parser. So we need to go over here and tell it on my app, please use express.json, because it tells it whatever you will receive from the requester, simply parse it properly. So we are missing express.json. So that is the only issue that we have here. So now let me go to this. It's properly working. Let's make a send request. Now if I send a request, what does it say? It says user created successfully. So everything is properly fine. I am able to create a user again. But if I send the request again, if I send it again, it says user already exists. Why? Because this email already exists. So I have put a proper check over there that you cannot add the same email again. Give me a proper message. Now, if I go to my MongoDB Compass, there's one small issue that we will face. So let me close this local host. Let me close this as well. And I will simply connect to this. Once I connect, you can see there's a database with the name of internship portal in which there is user. And you can clearly see username being Adfar Rashid, email being adfar@gmail.com, password is 12345. But imagine that you are working on a very good website, and whoever the user is, they are simply trying to log in, I mean sign up, and in the database direct password is getting stored. Like, I am a backend developer and I am able to see all the passwords. Should it happen like every developer that's working with that company, they should be able to see what your passwords are? The answer is no. This is a text-based password. It is very easy to hack, and everyone can properly hack it now. Even if I remember correctly, I might be wrong. Around in 2011, there was a very huge attack on lot of data. One of the companies were involved. I think Sony. Sony were involved in that case. Huge attack on user accounts were happening, and then in that particular case, what was found after research, that the passwords were stored in the text format. This is called text based passwords, which means whatever user's password is exactly the same is stored in the database as well. And imagine that if hacker tries to hack this database, they will be able to automatically see what the email is, what the password is. And this is not a correct way of storing your passwords. So what we will do is we will simply encrypt it. We will try to encrypt it. So maybe if my password is 12345, implement in any algorithm in between and make sure that you store your password in an alphanumeric combination, whatever the alphanumeric combination becomes. So that's what we actually do over here. We tell it before you save the data in the database, do not save it as you receive it from the request.body, but in between implement something. And what is that something called? It is called hashing. Password hashing. Password hashing. What is password hashing? We have our text based passwords. Text based passwords mean whatever user type in the input field. Then we pass that password to a function called as hash function. It's a function, and internally this hash function uses an algorithm. There are a lot of hashing algorithms. And what happens? This text-based password is passed to this hash function, and the output is simply some alphanumeric combination. Alphanumeric combination. So it can be, let's suppose, if password is 12345 at the rate of ABC, password over it will be 12 underscore at the rate 49 AB underscore 249, something like this. So it simply scrambles it. It simply encrypts it. And this hash function knows what is the algorithm I have implemented to convert this into this. Okay. But there's still one issue over here. Always remember, whenever we implement hash function, whenever I pass same password, let's suppose my password is Adfar. Now, is it necessary that no one will have Adfar password? No. There can be thousands of users who can have same password. When we talk about hash function for same input will always yield same output. Always, no matter what. Hash functions that we have, since they use the same algorithm, whatever input you pass, they will always generate the same output that we actually have. Same output always, no matter what. That is an issue here. That's why when we implement hash, we also implement some salt to it. Salt, like we put salt for extra, what is called a taste, right? That's what we do. We tell it, okay, this is the password, hash it, convert into alphanumeric. But then I simply pass a salt. Salt maybe 10. What does that mean? That means before you give me the output, simply make somehow like 2 raised power 10 iterations. 2 raised to power 10 iterations over there. That's what salting means. That do not give me the output exactly, but internally make now more iterations, which makes sure that even if I'm passing same password, it will generate new hashing passwords over there. This whole concept is called hashing passwords, password hashes. Am I clear? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat, quickly. So we hash, use the hash method, and then over here to hash it properly, what we do is we implement a namak on it. We implement salt on it at the top, which makes sure that it generates a new password for even same inputs as well. So this concept is called password hashing. What's it called? Password hashing. A very important concept. It will do iterations, like it will simply scramble it again. Salt means do iteration means implement internally iteration, iterated again, and finally give me some other output. That's what iteration means, that's what salting means. Okay, now if we want to implement salting inside our Node.js, we use a very simple library, and that is called bycrypt. What's it called? Bycrypt. Bycrypt is a library, a module which we need to install to implement hashing inside my passwords. So over here, what I will do is in this logic, I will simply tell you do one thing. Do not save my password directly. You can see I am telling you to save my password. No. But after this, do one simple thing. Create a hashed password. So constant hashed pass over here is equals to, please use a module over there called as bycrypt. But have we installed bycrypt? The answer is no. So I will simply go here and implement a install bycrypt. So let me create new terminal. In this terminal, I will import npmi bycrypt and let's install it. So bycrypt is a module with help of which we can implement hashing in our Node.js, in our backend server logic that we have. So bycrypt is a very good module, It allows us to hash, and that makes sure my accounts are secure to some extent. Okay, and even around in 2015, these hashed passwords were hacked as well. Then we implemented salting, and there's a lot of other things in that domain. Rainbow happened, and all of those things. You don't have to understand that. Okay, ignore it. So now what I will do is I will simply go here and import my bycrypt. So constant bycrypt is equals to please require. Require what? Require my bycrypt. And then over here I am telling it, please check if the user exists already. If it exists, give me this message. If it does not, then create a new variable over there with the name of hashed pass and use bycrypt.hash function. This is a function, hash function, which simply receives a password as an argument and then comma 10. 10 becomes salt. It's a salt entity. Like this much salt implemented. Now you guys tell me, what is this password? What is this password? What is this password? This password is nothing but what I receive from the request.body. And then I am telling it the same password, hash it, and implement salt of 10 to it. Now, when we will try to save the model, I will tell it, don't save my password as it is, but save the hash password of it. So now we can clearly see what I'm doing. I'm simply telling it, save the hashed pass over here. So username save as it is, email save as it is. But when we talk about password, in front of password, save the hashed version of the password. So in interview, they ask about salt. They will ask you what salt is. They won't ask you like how it works internally. Not all of those things. They will ask you simply explain what salt is. Okay. So I am simply trying to tell it save username as it is, save my email as it is, and when we talk about password, save the hashed pass of it. Now if I go here, And let's try to create a new user. So I will simply say another user is, let's say, Nadeem at the rate of gmail.com. And I have Nadeem as my username, Nadeem Ahmed. Okay. And then password for this is, let's suppose, same 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay. Let's say this is the password. If I now go over there and send it, what does it say? It says user created successfully. Very good. But if I go here in this particular thing and if I simply try to, what is called, uh, refresh my local host, and if I go to internship portal, you can clearly see there is another document, but look at the password. Look at the password. And do you think it somehow resembles with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8? Of course not. So this is a very important technique that we should always use inside our projects. We should implement hashing over there. And with the help of hash, we can secure our passwords throughout the way. So you can see overhead it's also 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Overhead it's also 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. But which is more secure? Which is more secure, guys? Which is more secure? Of course, the another one. Because if hacker tries to implement it, they have to figure out internally what hashing algorithm was implemented over here. Then they have to reverse engineer it, and then they have to extract the password out of it. So they won't be able to hack it very easily. But if a new person comes up and looks at this, they will think first of what kind of user keeps password as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Alpha keeps it, right? Perfect. So I hope this makes sense. I hope we have understood what hashing means, right? They can, of course, they can decrypt it, but they have to put a little bit extra effort. They have to understand what kind of encrypting algorithm was implemented here. So they can. If they are able to do that, then they will be able to reverse engineer it, and then they will be able to find it, right? So they will. But we use we make sure that we transfer our data in a proper format, proper encrypted format, right? And we there are techniques which we use, so late on maybe, but I hope this makes complete sense, right? So now after this we will make logic, we will write logic for login, and then we will think about how to authenticate, how to authorize, and what's the difference between authenticate or authorization. And these two things we will discuss after the break. So do not think of leaving the class. Do not think, we will check that, we will see that as well. Okay, we will see that, because eventually when login we have to put type text based password, but internally we will write logic which will compare, which will do that. We will do that after the break. So do not leave the class, even in the break as well. Stay here, I request all of you. And once this break is done, we are going to learn two of the most important concepts of Node.js, and they are authentication and authorization. So see you exactly after 10 minutes, guys. Do not leave, please join back. Okay, bye guys, see you. Hey guys, hi everyone, welcome back. Hello guys, hi everyone, welcome back. Hello Ankit. Hello everyone, hi guys, hi everyone, welcome back. Hi Rushinath, hello, welcome. Hey guys, hi everyone. Okay, I guess we can start with the session now. So until now, according to the logic that we have implemented, we are able to sign up a user, we are able to create an account with proper conditions as well, and we are able to hash our password as well. Now this part is done, right? Now what do we need to do is we need to make sure that we will implement a login now. So I will simply go on the same user router over here. I will simply tell it, hey, please on the same user router, implement a post in which I'm simply going to implement a post on login. And then over here, I will simply ask you to create a request comma response function like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And over here in this entire thing, what are we trying to do? We are simply trying to log in a user which we have signed up over here. In this case, according to the database, we have two users. Akfar at gmail.com, password is 1234567 and then these users, and there can be thousands of users. Now it means I am right now going on a front end page. Over there, I will simply pass email, I will simply pass password. As soon as I click on login, I should be able to allow it to login if the current credentials are correct. But for that, what is the first thing that I will do? I will first of all go and try to destructure those two things, the things that I'm passing from a front end. Number one is email, number two is password from requested.password. Done. After that, second thing that we need to do is, let's suppose I am a user and I am trying to log in. Now I have passed my email, I have passed my password. When I click on login, what should be the first check, guys? When I click on login, according to you guys, what should be the first check? The check first that we will actually do is simply the user that we are trying to log in, whether this account exists or not. Don't you think that? So I have to first of all see whether this email account exists there or not. Or am I simply trying to sign in without creating an account? So that's the first thing that I will do. I will check whether this account is there or not. So exactly what I will find, I will simply say create a variable with the name of user and simply tell it on my user model, please find one. Which one are we going to find? With the help of email. So the email that I'm passing you, with help of that on my user model, please do a search. Done. After that, now there can be two possibilities. Either there will be user or there won't be any user. So I will simply tell it if condition, if there is not any user, this is not signed. If not user, in that particular case, simply say user does not exist. Simply say user does not exist. Now what after this? So if this does not happen, if this return statement is not executed, in that particular case, it means user does exist. In that case, we need to compare our password because now email exists, which means it is in the database. If this if else does not, if condition does not execute, it means user does exist. But what is the next thing? We found the email with that particular account. With this, it will have the document. This variable will have the document which will contain email and password. Now we have to compare whether this user's email and password is exactly same with this password or not, which I am receiving from the requested body. But don't you think from requested body as a user, I will simply write text-based password. For example, my password is 1234567 8. That's what I'm going to type. I'm not going to type that hashed password. But I have to make sure I am going to compare it with that particular hashed password. So how do we do that? Since we implemented bycrypt.hash over there to create the hashed password, over here also bycrypt is going to help me. So I will simply say constant is match a variable, and I will simply tell it use the same bycrypt over here and use the bycrypt's method called as compare, and compare please the password from my request.body with the password user.password that we actually have. So what I am using is I am using again bycrypt to compare the password from request.body with the password which is hashed in the database. So I'm comparing these two things. So now it knows that it is the same password. Okay, if it is not, it's going to return false. So this method will either return true or false. Okay, this either returns true or false. Now, if this is true, what does that mean, guys? If it returns true, what does that mean? That means the password is same, which means that user should be authenticated. If it returns false, in that particular case, it should give me a error which is invalid credentials. If not is match, which means if is match is false, in that particular case, please return me a response. It's a bad request and the message with invalid credentials. Password is not correct. But if it works in that particular case, I will simply tell it user logged in successfully. This concept we have already discussed in the previous one of the classes as well. But what is the new thing over here? Number one thing is compare. I am comparing my password text based with my hashed password. Number one thing. Second thing, do you think now after this, let's suppose I am going to tell it on my user router, please make a get request on dot slash, and in this particular case, I want it to simply return me a user. Do you think in this particular case my user exists? I wanted to tell me what the request.user is. Do you think overhead user exists even though I have logged in already? Tell me yes or no. On this route, when I will make a request on this, I wanted to tell me, give me the user details. And let's suppose I have already logged in. Do you think it has made inside the request, it has made user? It has actually updated the request.user with this user who is logged in? The answer is no. I won't get it. Because there's one thing missing. This is simply checking if else. This is simply checking whether email exists or not, whether password is same or not. That's it. It's not telling my website to remember this user throughout the entire web operations. Imagine, let's suppose this is what I'm doing. Okay. We know what kind of project we are creating. I think everyone knows. We are right now creating a project with the name of internship portal. This is the project that we are trying to create. Okay, in which there will be internship opportunities. Done. Now, if I go on this website, www.intern.com/sign in. Okay. Now, in this case, when I go to this website, this route, it will give me an input field. Please take notes properly. Over here, I will type my email. I will type my password. I will simply click on sign in. Now, let's suppose I have provided correct email. I have provided correct password. And when I click on sign in, what will it do? It will simply give me a message that user has signed in. Done. Perfectly fine. Now, after that, I will simply go to another route, www.intern.com, and check my dashboard. Now, once I go on the dashboard, what is it supposed to display? It is simply supposed to display for this user who is logged in, show me all of its applied opportunities. Is that what is supposed to happen? Yes or no? Give me a quick answer in the chat. It's supposed to display me all the applied opportunities. Right? Right? But over here, it will not display you. Do you know what the reason? The reason is website does not know who you are. Websites cannot remember who are you. Websites cannot answer this question. They don't have state on their own. Websites are stateless. Now imagine when you go to www.intern.com/dashboard, it asks you again to sign in. So once you sign in, you go back to this, it asks you again to sign in. Because it's not able to remember who you are. Now it can show you dashboard only if it is able to remember who you are. If it's able to remember who has signed in 2 seconds back, 2 minutes back. But by default, it cannot remember you. It can authenticate you with email and password without if else logic, but it cannot authorize you. Okay. We have to somehow tell it to save this particular user. And for that, we use very simple technique, and it's called JSON Web Tokens. What's it called? JSON Web Tokens. Let me give you a very simple example of real life and then you will automatically understand it with our servers as well. Simple real life. This is what we will do. Remember, in early days, we used to visit our bank, or any other example that you can take. We used to visit our bank, and in banks there used to be different counters: one counter, two counter, three counter, four counter, maybe cashier, deposit, credit, and so on and so forth. And there used to be one counter at the beginning where whosoever user comes, they used to simply tell this initial counter what our work is. Okay, for example, I am trying to open an account. I am simply trying to create something. I am simply trying to do XYZ operation in this bank. So I will simply tell this counter person, hey, this is what I want to do. Now, what client this counter person will do is, this counter person will simply give me a slip. And on that slip, there is simply written token number and counter number. Okay, token number and counter number according to what I have told it. Hey, this is what I want to. I want to open an account, and then I want to take a loan. And this counter person, who is a simple fourth class person, a fourth class employee here, who understood the requirement from my side, and they simply gave me a slip, and in that slip it was token number, maybe token number 12. I am the 12th person of today, and then this is the counter number that I have to visit. And then this counter person used to tell me, hey, wait there on those benches. And once on the top screen, your token number comes up, please come and then go to that counter. Okay. Then yet there used to be this digital screen over there. And on that digital screen, as soon as my token number used to come up, I used to simply go to that particular counter. This counter used to see my slip. And then according to that, this token, this counter, two over there, used to do my work. Is this clear? This example? Is this clear? This example? Yes or no? Yes or no? Very good. I hope this example is very clear. Now think about another user comes up. Now, of course, since this is user one, and user one followed a proper procedure, user one went to the counter, received token number and counter number. After that, on that screen, when the token number got displayed, this user went there. Done. But let's suppose another user comes up, another user two comes up, and user two directly tries to go to the counter one. Do you think counter one person will entertain this person? Will do its work? Do you think that? No, of course not. This counter will simply tell, show me the slip, show me the token number, show me the counter number, show me the slip. If you do not have slip, I don't know who you are. Okay. So it means this whole bank system can only remember you if you have token number associated with you. If you do not have token number, if you do not have slip, I don't know who you are. So what this user 2 needs to do? User 2 needs to go to the counter 1, get the slip, and then go to the specific counter once its number comes up on the screen. This is how banks used to work in the earlier days. And now let's understand the same thing over here inside our servers, inside our web development. What do we have? We have our client side. Then we have our server side. In this server, I have my backend logic all written, everything created, everything is properly fine. Now from client, I will simply pass my email. I will simply pass my password. And I will simply click on a button called as sign in. Now, when I click on sign in, a request will be generated to the server, right? That's what we already wrote. If you look at this, for that, I have already written a logic that when you click on sign in, this is the request that will be generated from the sign in button. Now, server will simply talk. There's a conversation that's happening right now between client and server. Client will say, hey, wait a minute. I have received your email. Let me see if it exists. Okay, it exists. I have received your password. Let me compare whether it's correct or not. Okay, it's correct. So what has happened? I have confirmed who you are. Now, here is a token. Server has to generate a token. If the credentials are correct, server will simply generate a public token. Server will simply say, hey client, let me return you a token. Please make sure you keep this token with you. Okay, wonderful. Now I have provided email, I have provided password. Server will generate a token, a unique token with respect to this email, with respect to this password, and it will simply return this public token. And server also tells the client one thing. Later on, whenever you make any other request, let's suppose on www.intern.com/dashboard. If you try to access this particular route and you want me to remember who you are, then make sure with that request you also send this token. If you don't send the token, I don't know who you are. So later on, when you go to www.intern.com/dashboard, when this request will come to me, I will not send you the response directly. I will in between check something. I will look for that token. If you send me the same token which I generated while signing in, I will come to know who you are. So user is right now saved, but only if the token is there. I will compare the token. When I created your token, I will also create a private token for myself. And then I will compare whether this is the exact same token or not. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, every single time, whenever I will make any other request, one request, 100 requests, 2000 requests, whenever you make any other request and you want me to remember who you are, in that particular case, make sure every single time you send me the same token. You in that request wrap this token and make sure you send me the request continuously. And if I am able to see that request with every single request, I will come to know who you are. But if you don't send me the request, or if the token is wrong, I will simply tell you either invalid token or I will simply tell you who you are. I don't know who you are. This is called my authentication. What's it called? Authentication and authorization. Now, the question is what's the difference between these two? I will tell you. But first of all, before I tell you that, tell me quickly in the chat. Am I clear with this? How this whole process works? That when you sign in sign in, I will generate a token, and then that token I will tell you to remember. After that, every single time, whenever you try to send a request, whenever you try to tell me, hey, remember me, I will ask you for a token. And if you don't send me a token, I don't know who you are. Every single person, tell me yes or no in the chat. This is the same thing that is happening over here, that we are authenticating this user and this user via a token which is slip. If this user does not have this slip, I don't know who you are. I cannot deal with you. Similarly, later on, to define any other request, I must send a token with it. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Now, before I generate tokens, before I implement this, let's understand the difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication and authorization. And this is one of the most frequently asked questions in front end. Patience, patience, patience. Patience, you will automatically understand in a few minutes, Aditya. Aditya is asking questions, sir, but how Bicrypto will get to know for which user we have to check password? If for all users we will check, means for a million users it will go and check. No. I will tell you. Just patience, I will tell you. There's a simple line of code which you are missing in between. I will tell you. But before that, let's pay attention here. When we talk about authentication, if anyone asks you what is authentication, do you know what what the answer you will do? Authentication is that concept inside backend when server is trying to simply answer one question: who you are. Simple. Who you are. So if you are trying to answer who you are, it means authentication. For example, I simply type email, I simply type password. Now, when I click on sign in, as soon as I click on sign in, it will find this email, it will find this password, and then it will simply answer whether you are here or not. That's authentication. That's authentication. Simply this particular check, where I'm simply trying to identify who the user is. This is called authentication. On the other hand, if I talk about authorization answers one another very important question, which is what this user can do, which means user is already there. Now, what this user can do. So if you're trying to answer this particular question, it means I am trying to answer authorization. Let me give you a very simple example. Very simple example. I always give this example very often nowadays. We watch Netflix, right? We watch Amazon Prime, we watch Hotstar, we watch JioCinema, all these streaming apps. Uh, Remember that last year, or somewhere 1 or 2 years back, we used to watch IPL free on JioCinema, right? we used to watch IPL free on JioCinema. So what was the condition? If you want to stream IPL on JioCinema free of cost, all you need to do is you need to simply have the SIM. If you have Geo SIM card, in that particular case, you can watch every match of IPL free of cost, right? But on the same time, so it means all the users who were consumers of Geo SIM card, you can stream over there any match free of cost. But on the same time, once you were watching that match, there used to be one option with the name of quality. Now, when you click on this quality, over there it gives you an option 1080 HD. Now, you tell me, if you're a normal user, you have not bought any subscription, and you click on quality, select 1080 HD, will you be able to stream it in this particular, HD quality, in this quality? The answer is no. We were not. Over there, it used to give us a pop-up which used to be, hey, if you want to stream in 1080 HD, you have to update your subscription. What does that mean? That means normal users did not have the authorization of accessing 1080 HD. So this is what we mean by authorization. What this user can do and what this user cannot do. So all the users that were having general role, first they were having general role, so they can watch all the matches free of cost, but up till 360 quality only. But on the same time, if your role is updated to premium, then only you can watch the different resources over there. This is called authorization. What you can do as a user is already there. Now, in this same website, what can you do? Now tell me one thing. On a website, Amazon.in, you can add products, you can shop, you can add products to cart. Can you change the price of a product? You cannot. So you're not authorized to do that. So that's what the difference is. So when you are trying to answer the question authentication, it simply tells you, it simply is trying to find and identify who the user is. But if I'm talking about authorization, it means we are just trying to understand what this user can do on a specific domain. I hope this makes sense. Now, since I have given you example of GeoCinema over here, let's understand one another very important concept. Although we are not going to implement that, maybe in one project, if we found time, we will implement such kind of design. There's one very important design in backend which we implement called as a Rabak design. What's it called? A Rabak design. One of the very important designs which you see on Netflix, which you see on Hotstar, GeoCinema, and all of those streaming applications. Rabak means, it stands for, first of all, role based access control systems. See, if let me give a very simple example, although this is also role based access control, but let me give a very simple example. Everyone over here listens to music from Spotify, right? Spotify. When you go and log in Spotify, the role of a user is general role. But in general rule, when you are listening to songs, you can listen maximum 6 songs in one go. Then there comes up ads. You cannot download or whatever their permissions are. So for general, the permissions are there will be ads. Permission are you can listen to songs 6 maximum, and then there will be again ads. You cannot download and so on and so forth. But on the same time, if I update the role over here to premium, in this premium there will be different permissions you can download, and you can do a lot of other things, which means permissions of this web application is changing based on a role. When you implement such kind of design for your backend, such design is called a Rabak designs, role based access control designs. Okay, role based access control designs. Simple. I hope this makes sense. Like Spotify is GeoCinema. Like you cannot stream HD unless and until you have a subscription. So unless and until you are in a specific role, you can access specific permissions. But if your role is upgraded, you can access different permissions. So when such kind of design is implemented in your backend, such kind of design is called Rabak systems, Rabak implementations. I hope this makes complete sense. Am I clear? Am I clear? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Done. Now Pramod is asking, what is token? Something that's unique. Token is simply a combination of alphanumeric encrypted data, which is unique. We will see what tokens are. But I hope, I deviated my discussion, unfortunately, but I hope you have understood like how the authentication works. So we use for this JWT. What do we use? JWT. JSON Web Tokens. With help of this, we can actually generate tokens on the go. No. Authorization is actually about remembering the user as well. Like I don't have to log in the user again and again. Rabak system is based on role-based access control. We are able to access different resources. Let's suppose for my website, Govin, on variablewords.com, I have a website, right? So over there, there's only one role, student role. There's no other role. But there's authorization. Student can mark attendance. There's no other role. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If there would have been other role that I would have given you once you bought the subscription of my classes, then you can watch videos. That's not the case. You can do anything that all users can do. So everything is displayed to everyone. So there's only one role. So over there, I'm still having authorization, right? I hope that makes sense. Now, when we talk about this particular thing, I am going to authenticate. Server will simply generate a token, a free unique token specific to email and password. And then it will tell this front end to make sure whenever you send a request, you keep that token attached. So that once I receive that request, I will first of all extract the token, see whether it is the same token, and then I will give you the user. Like this is the user that you are talking about. And for that, generating the tokens and verifying the tokens, we use a module called as JWT. Let me show you how a token looks like. So let's go to the internet. And over here, I will simply go and let me try to search JWT. So JWT. So in this case, if you see, there are two websites, like JSON Web Token is the module which you will use. But if you go to jwt.io, you will be able to visualize, like this is how tokens look like. So this is the algorithm that they are using internally. There are a lot of algorithms to encrypt. This is simply encryption. So we are simply able to generate tokens. Something look like this, right? And this is the model which we have to use called as JSON Web Tokens in order to generate tokens on the go. Let's see how it's going to be done. So in this login, I will simply tell it. If, first of all, whatever the email and passwords that I will receive is from request.body, what you will do is from user model, you will simply find one with the email. Done. After that, if user exists, now someone asked me a question in between. I'm not sure who. Aditya C. Aditya asked me, but sir, how will Bicrypto will get to know for which user we have to check password? If for all users we will check means for million users. No, see, we are using Bicrypto.compare. We are not telling it to compare every password. No, we are telling it to compare the password which I am typing from the request.body from the front end and with the password that I have of user, which is of that email. So I am doing a search first of that email. So once I do that search of that email, then only I am comparing it. Am I clear? Does it make any sense? So I'm not comparing with everyone. I am comparing the password that I am typing in the input field. Then I am comparing it with the user.password which I am receiving from that email. I hope this makes sense. Only for that. We are checking it with user.password. Now over here, after this, internally it see when we use Bicrypto, Govin, it knows what is the algorithm I am using. So it knows how we are trying to compare it. So that's for that Bicrypto has to worry about. We don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now look at this. I am telling it to check whether user is there. User is there, compare the password. So over here, according to this, it has done this as well, this as well. Then we have to generate a token. Exactly when it's trying to sign in. And for that, we need to use a module called as JSON Web Tokens. So npmi JSON Web Tokens, like this. So what we will do is we'll simply import JSON Web Tokens. Let me check the spelling. It's JSON Web Token. So JSON Web Token. Done. You have to install it to generate tokens. So it's installed here. We can go to package.json to check its version. So JSON Web Tokens installed. The version is 9.0.1. Okay. So now for this, what we will do is we will simply go here. That's what it does. Does it convert first test password into hash and then that's what it does. It converts both of them into same entities and then sees if they are same, then returns true or false. Okay. So over here now, since I have used JSON Web Tokens, I'm going to require it. So let me go here and say constant my JSON Web Tokens JWT over there. I can import that it with any name. So let's not use JSON Web Tokens. Let me use JWT is equals to require JSON Web Token. Done. After that, once it's comparing the password, let me simply create a token, constant token is equals now a method. Now, if you go to the internet and let's go to the JSON Web Tokens, there is a method which we use to generate tokens called a sign, dot sign method. But over here, we need to understand one very important thing. One very important thing. Let's suppose, let's suppose that we are generating tokens. Okay, we are generating tokens. What is it that we need to do? That when we are trying to authenticate, please understand this. My server will generate tokens. Done. And then server tells my client that later on, whenever you try to send any request, with all those requests, please keep this token assigned, linked. Let's suppose over here the token is ABCD. And later on, when I'm trying to access www.intern.com/dashboard, let's suppose this is what I am trying to do. And with this slash dashboard, I will simply attach a token, maybe in its cookie, maybe in its header authorization or whatever, but I am generating token. Now, when I will send this message, this request to the server, it will simply extract this token. But don't you think from this token, it should be able to extract the user information as well? Who the user is, because that's how it will be able to find. So when I send this token, it will be alphanumeric combination, a token, unique token, a proper hashed token, encrypted token. But using JWT, it should be able to extract the user information later on from out of this. Yes or no? Which means when we will generate our token, in order to generate token, we have to send it a unique data which will identify the user uniquely, and that's called payload. What's it called? Payload. So I will tell it, whenever you generate a token, please receive this as a payload, a unique user. What is unique with respect to user item? Email. So I will simply tell it, this is the email. Based on this, please create a token like this. And then once that token is generated, inside that token, now it has encrypted email, it has encrypted everything. Then once this token is received here with the same JWT, it's going to extract the same email. And once we got email, we can find that user from the database as well. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Am I clear? So it means when we generate the tokens, I have to pass a payload to it. And that's what this payload means, a unique data related to user. So when we use JWT.sign, we pass payload. We pass payload. Payload means something which is unique to that particular user. So I will simply say here, what JWT.token. And over here in this JWT.token, I, as I said, will pass payload. Now, whatever payload is something that's unique. I can pass user.id, but let's at this point of time keep it simple. I will simply pass email, which is our user.email. Am I clear? So I'm simply generating a token, JWT.sign method, not token, but sign method. And payload is email of that user, which is unique to it. Am I clear? Then second argument that we actually pass to it is a secret key, some random string, whatever string is. So basically, I will simply add for over. It makes sense. So whatever key I will pass over, it's called secret key. What does it do? Later on, when I will send my token from here, I have to verify this token. So JWT uses the same token to verify it. So it's simply a lock to this sign. So that later on, when I will verify, I have to pass the same secret key. That this is the secret key that I gave you while generating the token. Use the same secret key to decrypt it. So for that, we need to define a secret key as well. And unfortunately, I have, I guess, closed my VS Code. So let me try to open my VS Code again. So over at the second argument, that will pass a secret key, any random string, whatever you want. So let me simply tell it that it is a JWT key. Later on, while verifying, I have to pass the JWT key. Third thing is an options. Like when should it expire? What are the different options here? So I will pass third argument as expires in. This token that I will generate, please make sure that it expires in 4 hours. This is the token that I'm generating when I'm trying to sign in. Am I clear? Done. So this will create a token with the email, which is uniquely there for that email, with a secret key, JWT key, and it expires in 4 hours. I hope this makes complete sense. Am I clear? Yes or no? Does this make sense? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat. Quickly. And give me 1 minute and I will be back. Okay, give me 1 minute only. I have to make a transaction. Allow me a second. Okay, give me 1 minute only. I'll be back. Okay, I have to make a transaction. I'll be back. Okay, hey guys, hi, I'm back. So I hope this makes complete sense. Sir, for every route, will we have to send server request to check token? We will see that, how it will work. We will see that. But as of now, I hope this makes complete sense. Like how we will generate a token. We have to generate a token with a payload, which will uniquely identify that user on later on, a secret key, which JWT will use internally to decrypt it later on to verify it. And then we will simply tell it expire. This token should expire in 4 hours. Then at this point of time, I'm simply going to tell you do one thing. Send my response. Okay, send my response. In this response, number one thing is I am transferring message. Number two is I will simply tell it to generate, send my token as well in the response. Let's see how it works. So now I will go inside my client over a Thunder client. And in this Thunder client, give me 1 second only. I'm so sorry. I'm receiving continuously. Hey guys, I'm so sorry. So token expire means will it be removed? It means after this token will not be valid. It will be there maybe. You can store it in local store anywhere, but it's not valid token, right? Now look at this. Now let's go to our Thunder client here. And in this Thunder client, instead of sign in, I will simply pass. Instead of sign up, I will pass sign in. And in this case, let me pass the correct email and password. Let's simply make a request. So if I send a request over here, send, we can clearly see it says it's not working. Okay, because my server got closed and I have not triggered it again. So npm run dev like this. So let me simply say npm run dev and it should be working. Connected to MongoDB, done. So now if I simply click send over there, once I send it, it says 404 not found. I'm not able to find, cannot post on /auth sign in. Why is that? Okay, it is login. It's not sign in. So we need to go here and we need to simply say log in. So now let me send it. So if I send this, what does it say? It says message user logged in successfully. And then a token, unique token as well. A unique token as well. Am I clear? Am I clear? Make sure, Naveed, you watch the entire session later on. So we have generated a token uniquely. I hope this makes complete sense. Am I clear? But if you look at this user routes over here, I have generated a token. So it means whenever I am trying to sign in, it is going to generate a token. But what's our logic? What's our logic? Our logic is over here that whenever I will simply send my email and password, it will be authenticated. A token will be generated. Later on, whenever any request is sent, it has to send this token. So it means we have to store our token somewhere so that I can send it later on with every request. Yes or no? How will I have to store it, this token somewhere? So for that, I will tell it, please store this token in a cookie. So I will simply say response.cookie. So in a cookie, please store a token with a key name token and the value is equals token. Let me remove this key as of now. So what I'm doing is I'm simply telling it to do one thing. In a cookie, please store this token. So that later on I can extract the token from there on. I hope this makes complete sense. Right? So it means whenever I am trying to log in, I am not only telling it to create a token, it is generating a token. But I'm also telling it that in the cookie, please store this token. Which means later on, whenever I will make a request on anywhere, why am I interested in request.user? The first thing that I will do is I will actually extract the token from the cookie. So once I will extract the token, then I will verify whether it is the same token or not. I hope this makes sense. Hi Adfar, can I ask you one question? Did you by hearted these things? Like there are a lot of things. How should you remember? Practice. Take notes in the live classes and then practice. Sir, can we not use sessions? Sessions are stored only for that specific session. Once you close the tab, it's going to be removed. Cookie is nothing at this point of time. Just to remember, Roshan, that whenever you have a website, in that website, from the web API section, there are different storages that you get. Number one is local storage, which is local to your system. Number two is session storage, which is active only for that session. Similarly, we have a cookie as well. In that cookies, you can store key value pairs for some amount of time. So we simply am telling it that for that, as soon as I log in from the front end, as soon as I click on login button, in a cookie, please create a key value pair with that token. Key value should be token, key name should be token, and value should be token. Or key name, I will simply say token value like this. So key name is token value, and the value is token. So at this point of time, I'm simply saying key value pair. Does it make any sense now? So until now, since I think we have discussed too many topics for today's class, so we'll wind up at this point of time. But I hope that you will practice this much. Like in the response, there should be a token that you will generate. I will also launch an assignment tomorrow for sure, in which you will create to-do application first, and then you will do this much of thing. Okay. Please make sure you create it. Give me the feedback in the comment section. We have discussed authentication. We have discussed authorization. And please tell me quickly in the chat whether we have understood these things or not. And let me share the advanced link. So let me share the advanced link. Sir, why am I getting advertisement? I don't know. Ask YouTube. Right? So this is the form link. Please mark your attendance right now. I forgot to share it in the first half. I should have shared it that point time only, because now I can see 35 students, and I'm sure they were not there for the entire session. Only 20 students were there, and I know their name as well. So don't worry, students who have joined the last term, their attendance won't be considered. So I hope you have enjoyed the session. We have discussed in today's session authentication, authorization, hashing, and JWT. These four things. But we have not verified our token yet. We have not implemented the authorization yet. So our next session is going to be quite interesting and quite very important, because in that session, we will actually implement main authorization. Next week is going to be very interesting. Okay. So see you then. I hope you have enjoyed this session. Please share the feedback, and also a small request, please subscribe. Please like this video if you have not. And also, once this class is done, put a valuable comment in the comment section. There are only one comment that we get, two comments maximum, not more than that. So Govind, Roshan, Himanshi, Nandi, everyone here, Aditya, Pradnya, please make sure that you put a comment once this class is done in the comment section. Honest comment, honest feedback. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Bye, everyone. Take care of yourself, and please make sure you practice all these concepts. Thank you, guys. Bye.